Welcome to Fieldsports Britain, coming to you this week from Germany, from Europe's greatest hunting show ever. Wise of me, I'm sure you'll agree, not to attempt the accent. Coming up, we're talking to our regular contributor, Dominic Holtham, who's just become editor of Sporting Shooter, about some of the more wonderful kit available here. First, here's a flavour of the weird stuff. But first, we've had exclusive access to Zeiss's new scope. We're going hunting with the boss. Bedfordshire is truly the heart of British lowland deer stalking. The Woburn Abbey collection of deer has spilled out into the countryside and provided us with escapees to stalk over the last 100 years or so that include seeker deer, muntjac and today's quarry, the Chinese water deer. And to stalk it, we're out with a team from the sports optics company Zeiss, which is showing off its new range of rifle scopes.
This is the big news that we are going to present at the IWA 2011, which we have here. And we have the 3 to 12 by 50, 2 to 8 by 42, and 1.2 to 5 by 36, which covers the full range of scopes for the European hunting events. We started with the 3 non-illuminated versions, and then you see the body, the shape, everything is the same, just the change is on the ocular side. The illumination is in an ergonomic design, so whenever you go stalking, you don't have problems with the trees, with the branches of the trees. Another issue is we have the buttons on the side, because when you're in shooting position, you don't move to the top, left and right button. No, you just put the hands over, and then you're much more stable by changing the illumination.
Today has been quite an overcast day, so for zeroing and even shooting, by turning on the illuminated dot, it actually gives you a great aiming point. And in the UK, a lot of people haven't been used to really illuminated reticles. On the continent, they're used quite a bit. To me, the big advantage is it's a peace of mind. In low light, when you're struggling to see your crosshairs, that illuminated reticle just highlights that aiming point.
Chinese water deer are a common sight in Bedfordshire, but they are completely alien to stalkers from the continent.
I actually didn't believe that type of animal is alive, because in Germany we never have these type of species. Our roebuck has the horns but not the teeth. So, I mean, we've been in this area 2 or 3 minutes by car and already saw the first Chinese and pheasants and partridge. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. You will never find that in Germany. Impossible. That amount of game. And then we stopped the car, went some stalking, and directly had a group of, I think, six Chinese. No male visit, so we went ahead stalking.
The stalk goes according to plan. Ralph is out with Paul Childersley, one of a number of Zeiss professional stalkers. Paul is an experienced stalker with a lovely estate to look after near Woburn. It's a true piece of old England, of woodland and farmland.
And then there was a very nice buck inside, and this one I was able to take. It was a very nice stalk. We had to crawl to the corner of the forest, and it was standing around 120 meters in the field. Small group of 3, 2 females and this one buck. So I take the shot, and it was running a couple of meters. They are quite tough, and then it came down, and I was lucky. I took my time, to prepare everything to target the Chinese and to look that it's the right one, because these teeth, they are very small, they're very difficult to see. It was foggy, and 120 meters is quite far away.
Bucks have got tusks. The females don't have tusks. They're very, very minute tusks on the females, which you can't really see. The bucks use them just for defending their territories in the rut and chasing off the other males in the area. They're quite aggressive, and they can actually move their tusks slightly, not a lot, but they actually loosen the gum so they can protrude them out slightly, or they can tuck them back if they're running through cover, just for safety things so they don't snap their tusks. Ideally, it's about obviously knowing your animals, also having a good good pair of binoculars, so you can pick out what you're shooting at. Personally, I use quite high magnification, which is not everybody's cup of tea, but for finding the right animal at poor light, you have actually got to have a good magnification of binocular.
1 year ago we have introduced our Duralud line. It was non-illuminated. It was a huge success to the market, also here in UK, and then we have decided to make an illuminated version. And the one I've used in the morning is our new illuminated one. It's one of the first prototypes, and we will market that by IWA in March in Germany and of course in UK. And it's our entry scope in the premium world of Carl Zeiss, and we expect it will be very successful.
Very fine dot, which is good for longer distance shooting, I feel, because it doesn't cover up the animal. So you can pinpoint your accuracy a lot better for me, and it's illuminated as well, which is great for poor light.
To develop that type of rifle scope took you 1 to 2 years, which is at the end quite a long time, but we develop rifle scopes since more than 100 years, so we are quite skilled on that. But we had a very long discussion if Zeiss is a super premium product company, and our products retail sometimes over £2,000. And it's a long discussion if the brand is able to carry also a mid-price segment, upper mid-price segment. And that was the longest discussion we had. And we decided to do it because you don't want to downgrade the brand, but we wanted to offer a kind of entry product level for younger customers, for young hunters, for hunters which don't have big budgets. And after introducing it to the market last year, it was a big success story. And we have many hunters who told us, okay, that was my dream come true. I always wanted to buy me a Zeiss. It was too expensive, but now I can buy my first Zeiss rifle scope. And that was the idea, and it works.
I caught up with Ralph back in Germany and asked him about the difference between British stalking and German hunting.
First of all, the animal looks totally different. It looks a bit like the roebuck in Germany, but the roebuck has just horns, no teeth. The Chinese water deer has very long teeth. And the hunt itself, I think it was quite similar. It was a very nice stalk. The countryside had a similar shape, but the amount of game that you won't find in Germany, that was really amazing.
Now we're a couple of weeks on and you've launched your Duralud scope here in IWA. Happy with the results?
Yes. I mean, it's the first day, but the first day is already a very good indicator for the next 3 days. And our product is accepted very well by the dealers, and we have good orders, what is a very good impression for that product, a very good indicator, and we think it will be a very successful product.
Now here's a story from a UK exhibitor, Nick Holt of Holt's Auctioneers, about a star lot in his next auction, a historic pair of pistols.
This young chap came in and said, Nick, I inherited a pair of pistols. I haven't got a clue where they gone. I said, right, okay, tell me a bit more. Well, they are 38 Webleys. Now 38 Webleys revolvers are worth what, £30 each? So I wasn't very excited, and I thought, well, this is going to be a bit of a headache. I said, oh, okay, right. So I was just being polite and listening to him, and he said, well, so, and I had to hand them in because we had to hand in all our pistols, after Dunblane. I said, right, but he said, but they were made for my great grandfather on my mother's side. I said, oh, right. And by this stage, I was kind of getting a bit tired and thinking, well, there's no money to be made here, there's no story. And then he suddenly mentioned that who he was talking about was the Grand Duke of Russia. And then suddenly the light bulb came up. And I said, those 38 Webleys, they're slightly different.
Nick got hold of them and brought them back to his office, which is at Sandringham in Norfolk.
Prince Philip turned up, because he loves shooting and stuff, and of course, I'm a tenant there, and he turned up. He saw the box and looked at me and said that belongs to a certain individual, and I was completely taken back. And I said, well, yes, you're absolutely right. How do you know that? He said, well, because this is a relation of mine through the Battenbergs. And I remember these pistols. And he very sweetly wrote a letter to us, giving us all his family history on how he's related to the Grand Michael, the Grand Duke of Russia. And so the whole thing began to really become quite exciting.
So then, as they say on the Antiques Roadshow, there's the question of value.
I know what the value is roughly. You know, I know they're worth, just as they are, £8,000. What are they going to make because of who they were made for is a big question. And the only way we can answer that question is by finding out what somebody's willing to pay. And that is, of course, putting them through auction.
They come up at Holt's next sale on the 24th of March. For more information, visit www.holtsauctioneers.com. Now let's join sporting shooter editor Dominic Holtham for a tour of the more exciting stuff here at IWA.
It's my first visit to IWA and there's plenty to look at. And trust the Italians to add a bit of flair to their stand. But what I'm really looking for is kit that's going to change the way that we'll hunt. First off, I'll make a beeline for a product that's red hot. I don't know if you remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Predator, but that alien technology is about to come to the consumer hunting market courtesy of the FLIR Scout. This is the first consumer affordable thermal night vision camera and we're about to have a play with it. This is very different to a traditional night vision system.
Correct. With other night vision technologies, you need a source of light, infrared light or perhaps moonlight.
Yep.
With this camera, you do not need any light at all.
Okay.
So that means that an animal cannot hide from you because you are always able to see the thermal signature of this animal.
Let's say an average sized animal for hunting, say a roe deer.
Yeah.
How far away would this device be able to pick up that heat signature?
If you look at a bigger animal such as a deer, I can safely say that you can see it, this animal with the basic version, approximately 500 to 600 meters away from you.
That's a lot further than a night vision device.
Absolutely. And if you talk about the camera with with a larger lens, then it should be approximately a kilometer and a half. So that's a long distance. And the animals cannot hide. Because an animal by nature has a camouflage color. What it cannot hide is the heat emitted from the body. So regardless if this has a very good camouflage or not, you always are able to see the animal.
And with this device, are you able to see through the undergrowth a little bit? So obviously if it's hiding behind grass or in bushes, you'll still be able to see the heat signature.
You may not see the complete animal because maybe an animal is standing behind a tree, but you can still see the front or back side of the animal, at least if it is emitting heat, which is not blocked by, for instance, a tree. You're able to spot the animal.
From darkness, we move into the light. We visit the company that is making the hunting lamp lighter and brighter. Okay, so this is the Tracer Power LED lamp range, and the first thing that I notice, these are an awful lot smaller.
That's right. On the left there are some of our traditional halogen lights, which we still do, packaged with our lithium polymer batteries now.
Yep.
But we've increasingly moving towards an LED world, if you like. I'd like to draw attention to this, which is the TriStar. Okay, it comes with a triple, if you can get in it, it comes with like a triple LED. The big advantage of LED is you get a lot more longevity. So, although this is a very, very small battery pack, it'll last for up to 8 hours on half power or 4 hours on full power. That's a great lamp. It's a 200 metre beam.
So it'd be perfect for rabbiting, with a 2.2 or a 1.7, something like that.
Absolutely. There's also a Pro version of this as well, which has got a variable power. And again, this has got one of our 4 amp hour lithium polymer battery packs, which you saw before. And this is a slightly uprated version. This does 300 metres.
Oh, wow.
Again, this will last for 6 hours on full power.
Wow. And so this is everything you need in one pack?
Absolutely, yes.
And how much does this retail for in the UK?
This retails for 179, I believe, something like that.
One company looking for a UK distributor is Lynx Pro Outdoor Wear. They've got some gear that is perfect for Scotland as it's designed to keep those midges at bay. So the material itself is treated to repel insects?
Yes. If the insects goes on the material, they have their feet, a hot feet effect they call it.
Right.
They burn their feet and so they get off the clothing. And for the moment, the army, all the special forces use it in different countries, and we bring it on the market on the name Buzzix, together with a Belgian company.
This is brand new for the hunting market?
This is brand new for the hunting market. There are other licensees also who have it, but our Lynx company, we have it as one of the first, of course.
And the treatment, if you wash the trousers, because obviously if you've been on the hill, you're covered in blood, say, you wash the trousers, how does that affect the treatment?
None until 50 washings. We are at 50 washings. We are at 100% efficacy.
Wow.
Yes, at 75 washings, we are still at 75%. So it goes little
very,
down.
very steadily.
It's not like a Teflon treatment. It's a bone. It's bone to the fabric.
Last on my list are a couple of very special rifles, created by master gunmaker Peter Hoffer. The first is the biggest double rifle ever created, a colossal 4-bore. The other brings state-of-the-art technology to this most traditional of hunting weapons.
It's a piece of art, you understand me? And then I say, okay, what is in a gun? How difficult it is to build a gun in handmade, and I will show you a picture here. This is a picture, just the inside, the technique of a gun, and it is really a piece of art, you know. And I say, okay, I will do now a gun, and I call it technik art, and I do just the technique, no engraving, and I create then this gun, the technik art gun, and here you see through the sapphire glass the technique in the inside, like a Switzerland skeleton watch. Yeah? And when I was
in a nutshell, this piece of art has an inbuilt altimeter, rangefinder, digital compass, clock, barometer and GPS. As for the price, if you have to ask.
Good film, Mr. Holtham. Now, tell me about the vorsprung, durch, technik you've seen today.
Well, we've been exploring some of the high technology aspects of the show. We've been looking at forward-looking infrared thermal imaging cameras, the latest in lamping technology, and even a very modern, up-to-date take on a classic double rifle.
A little bit expensive for your average rabbit shooter there, isn't it?
Some of it is, some of it isn't. Some of the new lamping kit is actually much more affordable than the traditional stuff. And we've also been looking at some clothing which is insect-proof, perfect for people that are working up in Scotland and having to deal with ticks and midges and mosquitoes.
So that's what's impressed you. What we want to know is what's going to impress us with Sporting Shooter, which you've just taken over as editor.
Well, I like to think that we're going to keep the same balance, mix. You know, Sporting Shooter is a magazine that appeals to all types of shooters, from people that enjoy rabbit shooting to fox shooting, deer stalking to driven game. And certainly I've always been a fan of the magazine as a reader, and hope to keep that energy and enthusiasm and passion going as an editor.
Dominic, that's great to hear. Thank you very much. Well, Germany has a fine tradition of hunting, but so do the British. Here's a film about it by our friends at Berry, Brothers and Rudd.
KG proudly presents the tales of John Jorrocks. Hunting is all that's worth living for. All time is lost what is not spent hunting. It is like the air we breathe. If we have it not, we die. It is the sport of kings, the image of war without its guilt, and only 5 and 20% of its danger. Meet John Jorrocks, a character invented by the writer R.S. Surtees in 1831. Jorrocks is a down-to-earth cockney who gives up his job as a grocer to go and become the squire in the village of Handley Cross in the Vale of Sheepwash, and who becomes the master of the local foxhounds and a hero to hunting folk ever since. Now, one thing you can't help noticing about hunting is that it involves a reasonable amount of near-death experiences, and, to make them more palatable, drinking before, during, and as Mr. Jorrocks MFH would observe, after. It took a member of the royal family to inspire the perfect drink. In 1903, King Edward VII was a keen follower of the turf and chaser of fur, feather and fin. He often arrived at his pleasures in the newfangled open-top horseless carriages. Fearful for his health, his doctor commissioned a restorative for the king. Not from a pharmaceutical company, but sensibly from the king's wines and spirits suppliers, Berry Brothers and Rudd. Called the King's Ginger, it turned out to be a monumental success with the king and other sportsmen and women of the age. And fox hunting has repaid the world for this work in the drinks department. Fox hunting is a great philosophy, and Surtees and his man Jorrocks remain masters of the popular quotations. 3 things I never lends: my oss, my wife, my name. Life would be very pleasant if it were not for its enjoyments. Old-fashioned sentiments, but true today. And it is as heartening to know that both Berry Brothers and its rich and zesty drink, the King's Ginger, are also around today. It may be beyond Mr. Jorrocks' sphere of experience, but you can even visit www.thekingsginger.com and order it online.
This has been Fieldsports Britain amongst a group of French bronzes. We clearly don't take deer stalking seriously enough in our country, do we?
I'm very unhappy.